Yeah, I have things. Good morning, everyone. It's early. It's a little after 7. My house is still quiet. For the moment, it will get not so quiet here soon. I suspect that will be the case for many of you who might be watching this either live or a little bit later. This is just a way to check in with you all on a regular basis. We want to do this as often as possible. You'll get to hear from me and maybe other elders and other staff. You'll maybe get to hear from Andrew Kerhula soon, even though his installation was rudely interrupted last week. We just want to check in with everyone and let you know that we're up and running and thinking and praying for you and trying to imagine ways in which we can be of encouragement and help both to you and to the wider body in this really unprecedented time. So these will have maybe a brief devotional word somewhere in between. We'll give you some updates on things that we're thinking about, and then also some invitations to you for how you can respond. For all I know, you can't hear me at all, and my technical prowess is showing its limitations. But this is my best foot forward here this morning to get the word out and to begin a new habit of connecting with each of you and letting you know that we know that you're in a world that's so full of uncertainty and unfamiliarity, and that's real, and we want to reckon with it and respond to it with faith, hope, and love. So that's what these little things will do. So I've just got a brief devotional word for you, so that we can kind of put all of this in context, if that's possible. I know you are getting more information than you're maybe ever accustomed to getting, and we're already deluged with information, and everybody has the most important thing for you to hear, or the greatest chart for you to see, or the greatest statistic for you to digest and respond to, and all of that just by sheer quantity alone can beset you, and we get that. And so there's plenty of opportunities to feel anxiety or fear. And the thing about the Bible, I find, as it says from cover to cover, there's so many instances in which it says, don't be afraid, fear not. Or even Jesus saying, why are you so afraid, you of little faith? And Paul saying, be anxious for nothing. In all of those instances, you hear those, we'll just call them commands or implicit directives for you to not be afraid, and you're invited to ask yourself, why are you being so afraid? And several of you probably could pull out your legal pad and offer a list of things why you might be afraid. What if I get this disease? What if I have this disease? What if I spread this disease to people whom I love? What is this going to do? How are my kids going to get through these weeks of being out of school? How am I going to get along with my job? What's this going to do to the economy? All of these things that are swirling through our heads, and naturally what bubbles to the surface, whether it's your temperament or not, are these anxious thoughts and the fears that are downstream of them. And so when we hear somebody say, don't be afraid, the first answer to us is, well, I think I have a reason. And that's why I might say unto you that for every instance in the Bible where it says don't be afraid, it's not just a sheer command. It's not simply an invitation to exercise your will to push down any thoughts of anxiety or fear. There's always something that goes on the heels of it. There's always a reason that follows the invitation not to be afraid. And So in any other instance, you can track me. Go through the Bible, and every time it says fear not, there's always a for ... Fear not because ... There's a promise, or there's a reassurance, or there's another thought that you're supposed to have in addition to the thoughts that you're having that are causing you fear. That's inviting you to think of that fear in a different way. So fears are kind of like weeds. Jesus will sometimes compare them to thorns in a parable, right? Fears are like weeds. If you just let them stay weeds, then they choke, then they stifle, then they overrun you. Fears you can't just allow to remain fears. You have to do something with them. Fears are not all the time, but many times spurred on by thoughts. And so when it comes to the thoughts that give way to fear, you're invited in that moment of fear to bring other thoughts into view, to bring other promises into view. You have to do something with the fear rather than just let it remain a fear. You let your fears become something more than fears. You let them become admissions of fear, confessions of fear. You let your fears become words. You let your fears become prayers. You let your fears become actions. You let your fears become service rather than to be held captive by them. You allow them to spur you on into actions that are out to respond to them in the only way that you know how. Not to be too platitudinous. Is that the word? Platitudinal? Platitudinous? You can correct me later in the comments. Faith is not the absence of fear. It's just not allowing the fears to dictate everything that you do, think, or feel. It's not merely pressing down upon our fears to try to squash them. It's just allowing to make use of them in a more constructive way, and to think well about his promises, and to allow those thoughts to run through your brain as much as the other thoughts that are running through your brain. A few days ago, Mrs. Lafferty comes downstairs, and as we're kind of gearing up for what seemed to be a trajectory that leads us to this moment here Tuesday morning, she handed out a piece of paper to everybody in the family, and we all went and scattered and found pens, and she asked us all to write down 3 things on the piece of paper. 1, what are we afraid of in this season of uncertainty? Write that. And then, what are some blessings or privileges that accompany this opportunity for a different schedule, to be able to give our attention to different things? What are the blessings involved in that? And then, thirdly, what are some goals that we might have in a season in which our ordinary schedule has been thrown out the window, and we might have had something in the back of our minds or on our list somewhere that we didn't have an opportunity to do now. So now how does this new set of circumstances provide us a new opportunity to go after things that we wouldn't maybe ordinarily have the opportunity to do so? So it's a constructive way. It's not just saying I'm afraid, even though those are true and they're real and we can't pretend that they're not, but it is not just letting our fears remain fears. They're getting them out in the open, they're talking about it, but also accompanying our thoughts about our fears. What are the privileges and blessings we have in a moment like this? And then also, what are our goals for a time like this? So the devotional word for this morning is that when Jesus says, do not be anxious, it's always on the basis of the idea that he is with us. When Paul says, be anxious for nothing, it is not him saying to us, just press down upon your will and don't be afraid. It's then an invitation to let your fears become prayers and requests and admissions to one another and searching for assistance. That's what fear invites us to do. So that's what we do. And that's what this moment calls for, despite all sorts of things that are unpredictable to us. That's a brief word of encouragement. I pray that I might follow it as much as you do. Want you to know that there are several ways in which we're trying to respond to our moment with care and compassion. We're trying to be out in front of certain things. We're trying to imagine what you're going through and the variety of ways in which you're having to face things that you never dreamt of happening. We're going to meet as a staff this morning electronically, just so you know. The personnel committee of the church authorized staff to, as much as possible, work from home. We want to kind of honor the directives of that social distancing guidance that we're getting from a variety of quarters, including from the government and healthcare professionals. So we're meeting electronically as much as we can. So staff will meet this morning. Tonight, the elders are going to have a meeting. And we're talking about all sorts of different ways in which we can be aware of what's going on and how we can respond in real time as much as we can with always care and concern for trying to, as they say, flatten the curve to ensure that we are not responsible for spreading the disease in any way that we might. So those things are in play, and we'll, as we do these daily updates, we'll provide you more information about what does it mean for worship, what does it mean for gatherings, what does it mean for our children's ministry, for our youth, for our older folks in our community. All of those things are on our table, on our plate, and we'll be addressing those in short order. So those are the things that are happening. Did want you to be aware, and here's where I'll show you some stuff that is applicable to that. But we now have a new web address that's also going to have some ways for you to get more information. And here's that. So if you go to our website here, let's get rid of my face. You don't need to see that. Oops, try again. See, we'll get it. Oh, forget it. There it is. So we have a new web address where you can get information about how we're responding. It's there at that web address down there at the bottom. And on that page, there is information for if you would want to give assistance to those who are in need. You can click on the Give Help link. If you are in a condition in which you need somebody to help, we know that there are several within our body who are what's considered part of that higher risk demographic among us. And so what others of us maybe are less apprehensive about doing, you're more apprehensive about doing. And so we want to try to fill in the gap of where it might be unwise for you to get out. And so we're going to try to find ways in which we can be of assistance to you, whether it's with groceries or otherwise. So on that site, you can find ways either to seek assistance or to be part of the growing number of people that are ready to step up where they can and to offer it. Look, we know that this is forcing us to be in more isolated ways than we might ordinarily be. And it's already a lonely time. It's already a time of great upheaval and struggle. And so there's also a way on there, if you just need to talk to somebody, an elder, a pastor, somebody that you respect, if you just want somebody to pray with you, there's an email address for Andrew Kerhulis, and he's going to be the point person on hearing of those requests and assuring that everybody that has that kind of condition or that concern can, like, we just want to talk with each other. And that's in part why we're doing these videos, just to let you know you're not alone in this, and we want to invite you to let us know how we can be of help to you. So that's just ways that we're just some initial ways in which we want to both be of assistance to you, but also to take opportunity, to take this very unique opportunity to be present to our community in ways that it maybe never dreamt of it ever being needful of. And as we prayed on Sunday, that we as a church might esteem itself not for our own glory, but for God's glory in the way we take risks for those who are in a moment where their resources have suddenly been pulled out from underneath them. So that's just how you can kind of stay up to date on how we're thinking and how you can know how you can be of assistance or get assistance. It's also for a way for you just to find a way to know how to talk to somebody. Okay. Oh, that's really heavy. I get that. And we don't want to overburden us with all sorts of information that is already burdensome to begin with. Let me offer you a couple fun ways. We'd like just to, hey kids, if you're listening, if you're up, or you want to check this later, you know, now we're on a new, let's go back this way. There's all sorts of fun ways to connect with each other, and for maybe our technology is a great opportunity for us, and not just a distraction for us in this season. And so, you know, one thing that's really crucial in these days is to wash our hands as much as we can. And I think the trend going around was, boy, what's your favorite song that you're singing, kids, while you're washing your hands? Well, I would like to put the word out to all of you that if you are a kid and you like to sing while you wash your hands, if you have a favorite song while you wash your hands, I would like you to videotape yourself. And then I would like you to send it to our children's ministry director, Christenbstewart, at that web address. She'll take them, we'll post them, maybe we'll compile them, put them in a sweet little montage of stuff. But kids, whatever your favorite song is to wash your hands so that you wash your hands long enough, if that's the alphabet song, if that's something from Post Malone or whatever. Did I just say that? Whatever you want to do, send us your videos of you washing your hands so that we can kind of put that together and just have a fun little moment with something that really is necessary and good and helpful for everybody, including yourself. Also, you may have seen this going around. There's a new song, a new composition for people who like to play piano. It's called the Coronavirus Etude. And if you go on YouTube, you can see people that have already put that up online. I would love it if some of you who are musicians, whether you are budding or accomplished musicians, this spreadsheet or rather this sheet music is in the description of this YouTube post. So click on more information down there under description, and you can pull the file and you can print it out. And for those of you that like to play, here's a little funny way of trying to make light of an otherwise very heavy situation. So send that to us also. We'd love to see your composition and see what that's about. All right, that's a lot of information for us. And whoops, let's go back here. One last look at my funny face, and I just want you to know that you are in our prayers. You'll be in the prayers of our staff this morning at 10. You'll be in the prayers of our session this evening at 7. And we just want to find a lot of ways, both children's ministry and youth ministry, and in a number of ways across the church where we can connect with each other in this unique time on which it would be inadvisable to kind of get close or to congregate in larger gatherings or even small gatherings. That's what we want to do. So, this is Patrick on a St. Patrick's Day. Nobody would have imagined saying that we love you. We'll be in touch. We'll have more to say. And we do hope that you will take us up on the invitation to let us know how we can be of help, and also on the invitation for you to become of help, both just to our community, but also to the wider vicinity. There's all sorts of ways in which both the school districts and other constituencies in the vicinity are looking for help, and you're seeing that on Facebook and elsewhere. And I pray that you would wisely step up where you can to be of help. So I'm going to end this with a little bit of a ironic twist. No, it is St. Patrick's Day, and no, I don't have anything from Ireland, but I do have something rather compelling that came from a few days ago that maybe many of you have seen. It's from the Italian Air Force, and it's what they did a couple days ago just to rouse their people with hope in the midst of a really significant challenge that they're facing as a whole country right now, and in a whole situation that we in this country are trying to avoid by taking even stricter measures as quickly as possible to limit the spread of the disease. But this happened, and I'll close out with this rousing kind of moment that offered by the Italian Air Force. We love you. We'll be in touch, and we'll see you soon, okay?